Hey everyone, it is Monday. Great, I started another week. It is October 26th. We are 8 days away from Election Day, the day of the rebirth of the US, the day we can hopefully get rid of the orange turd in the White House and flush him down the toilet. Things are looking good, but can't your chickens for the hatch. The Biden-Harris campaign is acting like they're 10 points behind, even though they're not. And that's what they need to do. They're going to be pretty aggressive in the last week. Trump is going to like 3 different states every day. He's not backing down. So let's get started. Okay, as we always do, we look at the forecast. Oh, it's going to be nice for a few days here in Seattle on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's a little partly cloudy, a little sun, no rain, which is great. Get a little rain sneaking in on Thursday, a little more on Friday, and then we'll have a little respite. It's typical fall. In fact, this Saturday, if believe it or not, it is Halloween, but I'm sure there's not going to be very many parties, and I'm sure kids are not going to go out due to the coronavirus pandemic. Everything's postponed this year. 2020 sucks. Oh, this is just topping everything. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows yesterday in an interview on State of the Union, Jake Tapper basically said, we're not going to control the pandemic. What? Well, obviously they haven't to date. And so they're finally admitting it, that they basically said, we're not going to control the pandemic. So watch this. This is unbelievable. Jake Tapper even asked him, like, what do you mean? You can't control the pandemic. So here is Mark Meadows yesterday on CNN's State of the Union.
Mark Short has been in close contact with Vice President Pence. I mean, They are always with each other. Short is now positive for the virus.
That's correct.
So CDC guidelines say that Vice President Pence should quarantine for 14 days. Now, I understand the White House is trying to get around that by saying the vice president is an essential worker. But Mark, how is going all over the country, how is that campaigning? How is that essential work? It's not like he's helping to contain the virus. In fact, the opposite. He's holding rallies that could be spreading the virus.
Well, actually, he's not just campaigning, he's working. We saw a Middle East peace agreement with Sudan in the Oval Office that the president engaged in. And for anybody to suggest that the president has been out campaigning and not getting things done, all you have to do is look at the facts.
He was at a campaign rally in Tallahassee. He was just in a campaign rally in Tallahassee.
I'm not saying he's not campaigning. I'm saying that that is only part of what he's doing. And as we look at that, essential personnel, whether it's the vice president of the United States or anyone else,
but he's not
has to continue
following
on.
CDC guidelines.
Well, no, Jake, CDC guidelines does say essential personnel.
Yes, it says
they
wear
will
a
mask
mask.
up,
if they wear a mask.
And I spoke to the vice president last night at midnight, and I can tell you that what he's doing is wearing a mask, socially distancing, and when he goes up to speak, he will take the mask off, put it back on. But he's wearing a mask as it relates to this particular thing because the doctors have advised him to do that. And so, Jake, when we start to look at this, you know, here's where we really need to make sure. On your website yesterday, Jake, your website is talking about, well, now we think the spread is coming from small social groups and family groups. First it was large groups, now it's small groups.
It's
now
coming from all sorts of places.
Well,
it's
that's
coming from
exactly,
all sorts of places
that's
because
exactly
the pandemic's
the point.
out of control.
So here's what we have to do. We're not going to control the pandemic. We are going to control the fact that we get vaccines, therapeutics, and other mitigation areas.
Why aren't we going to get control of the pandemic?
Because it is a contagious virus, just like the flu.
Yeah, but why not make efforts to contain it?
Well, we are making efforts to contain it.
By running all over the country, not wearing a mask?
Jake,
that's what the vice president's doing.
We can get into the back and forth. Let me just say this. Is what we need to do is make sure that we have the proper mitigation factors, whether it's therapies or vaccines or treatments, to make sure that people don't die from this. But to suggest that we're going to actually quarantine all of America, lock down our account.
No one's saying that.
Well, they are. Joe Biden's saying that. He says lock everybody down. We're going to have a dark winter. We're going to have a dark winter.
That's what health officials say. That's what health officials say, that it's going to get worse.
No,
we had
that's
the two
Joe Biden's
worst days.
Jake,
let's be honest. Infections, Friday and Saturday.
Let's be honest here. The health officials did not say dark winter. Those were Joe Biden's words.
He was quoting a health official. I think he was quoting William Haseltine.
When we look at the number of cases increasing, what we have to do is make sure that we fight it with therapeutics and vaccines, take proper mitigation factors in terms of social distancing and masks when we can. And when we look at this, we're going to defeat it, Jake, because we're Americans. We do that, and this president is leading while Joe Biden is sitting there suggesting that we're going to mandate masks.
The president is holding rallies all over the country.
That's correct.
No
In fact,
masks,
we're leaving.
No masks required. No distancing. There have already been, according to health officials, contact tracing. There have already been cases of individuals in Minnesota and in Washington, D.C., and in Oklahoma that got the virus at these Trump rallies that Dr. Fauci himself called a super spreader event, the one at the White House.
There's also been contact tracing, Jake.
That is not leading.
There's also been contact tracing from reporters, some with your own group, where they actually have worn masks religiously. And so what I'm here to tell you is we need to find the vaccines and the therapeutics to actually give Americans the relief that this is not a death sentence, because it's not. And yet at the same time, to suggest that any of that is not accurate is just not based on the facts.
Here's the bottom line. We know, according to health officials, that masks are the best thing people can do in terms of trying to prevent the virus from spreading, period.
Yeah.
That's what they say. Until the vaccine and Operation Warp Speed, and until that all works out, the best thing to do are masks. That's from Dr. Redfield, it's from Dr. Fauci, it's from Dr. Birx, it's from everybody.
What a lying piece of shit, Mark Meadows. Oh my God. You know, they finally just fessed up and said, we're not going to control the pandemic, because they haven't done a damn thing to control the pandemic. You know, Trump says, oh, we're turning the corner in all his rallies this past week. Oh, we're turning the corner. Bullshit. We had the two highest number of cases during the pandemic on Friday and Saturday. The highest number of cases. We're not fucking turning the corner. He's smoking something. Anyway, I just get mad when I hear them lie all the time. Here's one of my favorite reporters, anchors on CNN, John King, talking about the road to 270, about certain key states like Georgia and Florida. If they go to Biden, it's game over. So here's a little talk about the electoral map.
Here's where we stand heading into the final full week of campaigning. Joe Biden has a lopsided advantage. We have him at 290 electoral votes. Deep blue, solid Biden. Light blue, lean Biden. Deep red, solid Trump. Light red, lean Trump. Joe Biden right now, if nothing changed on this map, is the next president of the United States. We will see what happens in the final week, follow the candidates, and also follow the money. When you talk about the candidates, let's just look at some of the travel. The vice president's still adding some stuffs, but there's no question the president is more active. Some people question whether he should be with all these rallies, but you see the president retracing his 2016 map, because at the moment, he's losing in many of the states that propelled him to victory 4 years ago. Joe Biden in Pennsylvania, 2 stops yesterday. One thing to note, we also know since yesterday, former vice president will campaign in Georgia. That's a toss-up state right now. It hasn't gone Democratic since way back in the Bill Clinton days. That would be a game-over win if the Democrats could get Georgia. That's one thing the former vice president is trying to do with his travels. The other thing is to follow the money. If you look at battleground state spending right now, they're competing in largely the same states. The president's spending money in Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia. Those are his top 5. Again, on defense, those are all states he carried last time. Joe Biden is trying to change the map. And in this final week, one advantage for the Democrats, it's not just the polls, it's money in the bank. Money in the bank. Biden entered this final stretch with a lot more money in his campaign account than the president, $162 million to $44 million, and Democratic committees helping the Biden campaign, $331 million to $223 for the Republicans. That money advantage allows Biden not only to advertise in all the states he's targeting to try to stretch the map. If you watch,
that's a good look at the electoral map, and I will have my prediction and my update for all of my polls and stuff. And you guys, I know you guys love that. President Obama, he obviously started out campaigning last Wednesday when Biden was doing a debate prep. He started out in Philadelphia with a great speech. It's called Obama Unplugged, Obama Unleashed. He's really taken it to Trump. I love it. This has been bottling up inside of him for the last 4 years. And now, as he's now campaigning for Biden Harris, he is just unleashed. Here is a glimpse of what Obama did in Miami. He was in Miami on Saturday, where he campaigned for former Vice President Biden and Harris.
Former president, again, did not hold back as he went on the attack again against President Trump on everything from the pandemic and health care to the economy to America's standing in the world.
Yeah, Anna, this speech was just as much about promoting his own vice president as it was taking on the current president. President Obama didn't hold back in his criticism of President Trump, taking on his approach to the coronavirus and even talking about the president's behavior, comparing it to an internet meme, saying that Florida man doesn't even act that way, that the president's behavior is not normal. And you also heard President Obama kind of mock the president for his 60 Minutes interview that ended, that he walked out of, and also some of that anti-media rhetoric that you've heard at times from the president. President Obama today essentially saying that if you walk out of a 60 Minutes interview or if you're complaining about the type of coverage that you're getting, that you're not going to be able to stand up to dictators and people like Vladimir Putin. Take a listen to a bit more of what Obama had to say here in Florida.
During the debate, Trump was asked, what is your plan for the new phase of COVID? Which is a pretty good question, considering that we just saw the highest number of cases spike up yesterday. So you'd think he'd be ready for a response. Instead, he just said it wasn't his fault and he didn't have one. He said it's now gone in a bunch of states, just as states are reaching new record highs nationwide. He doesn't have a plan. He doesn't even acknowledge the reality of what's taking place all across the country. And it gets better because he also sat down with 60 Minutes. He was asked, what's your priority in your second term? And let me say, I've run for president in Miami, so I just want you to know it's a good idea to have an answer to this question. It's a good idea if you're running for re-election to say, here's what I want to accomplish. What did Trump say? He got mad and walked out of the interview. He thought the questions were too tough. Too tough. Miami, listen, if he can't answer a tough question like, what would you like to do in your second term? Then it's our job to make sure he doesn't get a second term.
So this is the second time this week that President Obama really issued another scathing rebuke of his successor. And you also heard the former president kind of take on these arguments from President Trump and Republicans painting Joe Biden as a socialist or a communist, particularly here in the state of Florida. Obama said that Biden is not a secret socialist, that they shouldn't believe that type of garbage that is coming from Republicans, is the way that the former president took it as he is trying to defend his former vice president. Now, one of Obama's central messages here today in Florida was to make a plan to early vote. The Biden campaign really believes that President Obama can help mobilize Black men, Latinos, and young voters to get out there in these next 10 days before the election. The former president telling everyone to make a plan to either vote early in person or by mail-in ballot as this election gets closer and closer. Anna.
I love President Obama. He's fierce. I love it. And he's going to be really important the last week of the campaign. I'm not sure what the schedule is, but I'm sure he's going to hit Philadelphia. He's going to hit Pennsylvania, probably Ohio. I would send him to Ohio. I would send him to North Carolina, and I would send him to Florida. I would send him to Georgia, and I would send him to Texas. So I think we can win Texas. Those are the states that I would send him to. And Obama says, use me this week. This is the last week. This is the last 8 days before the election. No holding back now. Okay, I know everyone hates this. I know. I gotta give you the latest and greatest in terms of the polls. I know polls are polls, blah, 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 but they have adjusted the polls since 2016. They have weighted things differently. They've learned from some of the mistakes. Education is weighted a lot more in terms of predictability of votes. So if you look at all the swing states, the The Biden-Harris campaign has a lead in all the swing states except for Ohio. Okay, so Arizona +3, Nevada 6.3, Colorado 13.6. Iowa, states that Trump won by 20 points. Biden's leading by 1.2. Minnesota 8. The 3 states that Trump won by 78,000 votes in 2016. Well, right now it's not looking good for him. Wisconsin, Biden by 6.7. Michigan, Biden by 8. Pennsylvania, Biden by 5.6. Again, the reason why we have Trump was because in Wisconsin, Trump won by about 10,000 votes. Michigan, he won by about 11,000 votes. Pennsylvania, he won by about 50,000 votes. That's all. 70,000 votes gave us this turd for the last 4 years. So it's looking good right now in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Again, the one little blip is that Ohio, Trump is winning by about 1.5 percentage points over Biden. That's close though. That's really a statistical tie when you're within. Most polls have a plus or minus error range of about 3 points or so. New Hampshire, Biden is winning by 11 points. I'm not sure why Trump went up for a rally in New Hampshire. I think he's wasting his time. Look, he's down by 11 points. There's no way he's going to win New Hampshire. North Carolina, very close. Biden's winning by 2.5. Now, Georgia is very interesting. God, if we can flip Georgia, that's 16 electoral votes. Biden's winning by 0.4% over Trump, which is amazing. Georgia went for Trump by about 20 percentage points in 2016. And now Trump is having to go to all these states he won. He can't go to any other states. He has to go to defend his territory, and he's not doing very well. As you can saw that report by John King, he's being outspent like crazy. Biden and Harris have a huge campaign war chest. And then in Florida, huge state, Biden by 2.4. And look, Texas. So they just had a great poll that came out from the Dallas Morning News and one of the Texas universities that has Joe Biden leading Texas by 3 points. That is amazing. So with this, with these polls, I've updated my Electoral College prediction. I am predicting that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will get 413 Electoral College votes in a landslide over Trump and Pence is 125. I believe they will take all the swing states, and I believe they will take Texas, and I believe they'll take Georgia. I know that's very optimistic, but I believe the momentum's on the Biden and Harris ticket side. So we'll see. We'll do a recap, and I'll tell you. I'll actually say if I was right or wrong, and I'll eat crow if I was wrong. But I feel really good right now, and you all should feel good right now. Here's a prediction from the Financial Times. They update this every day. Theirs is a little more conservative, obviously, but they still have Biden winning 273 Electoral College votes. You need 270. They have Pennsylvania, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Colorado, and Nebraska District 2. The toss-ups, they have Texas, Florida, Ohio, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, Iowa, Nevada, and the Maine District 2. I called Texas, Florida, Ohio, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, Iowa, Nevada, all that for the Bidens. They're a little more conservative, obviously. Here's the other thing that we need to make sure that we can have change in Washington is the Democrat or the Senate. Right now, we need to win 4 Senate seats. We're going to lose one in Alabama. Doug Jones is going to lose his seat. That's a Democrat right now, Tommy Tuberville. He's really down by a lot. So we need 4 seats. And here we go. Mark Kelly, that's 1 seat. John Hickenlooper is going to take about Cory Gardner's seats. That's 2 seats. I really think that Steve Bullock's going to win, so I'll count that. He's down by 3, but I'll count that as 3 seats. Iowa, Teresa Greenfield is beating incumbent Joni Ernst by 3 points. That's 4 seats. Maine, Sarah Gideon is leading by 7 over Susan Collins. That's 5 seats. We need 4, right? North Carolina, Cal Cunningham is winning by 6 points over Tom Timlis. That is 6 seats. South Carolina, Jamie Harrison is upsetting Lindsey Graham by 2 points. That's 7 seats. Here's 2. Georgia has 2 seats up because of retirement. So John Ossoff is tied right now with Dave Perdue. I'll give it to John. So we have 8 seats. Reverend Raphael Warnock is leading by 12 over Kelly Lofter. That's 9 seats. And then it's going to be tough for the other one. So I'll just say we got 9 seats. And there's potentials for Alaska, Al Gross, Texas, John Cornyn, and Kansas with Barbara Bohler. So those are the other 3 seats. But we have a good chances for at least 9 seats, and we need 4. So I like our chances to take the majority in the Senate, and so we can actually kick some ass with Biden and Harris and Nancy Pelosi as the Senate, or excuse me, as the House Majority Leader, the House Speaker, House Speaker. And then we'll have Chuck Schumer as the Majority Leader in the Senate. Okay, we're going to finish up with a couple of ads. I love these ads. Lincoln Project has this ad called Rats. I love this. You'll love this. And you know who these rats are. You'll recognize them.
The rats are leaving the sinking ship, Donald. Bill Stepien and Jason Miller know it's over. Even Jared knows. And you know what they're doing? Spinning to make themselves look good, saying it's all your fault. Blaming you. Calling your ad strategy half-assed.
Greatest nation ever to exist.
Too small to move the needle.
They're not small, are they? I never heard that one before.
Spending the last of your donations. There's no strategy.
FEMA allocated.
They've blown it.
What happened? Was there money that just disappeared?
Nothing's working. You're losing.
Could you imagine if I lose? What am I going to do?
And they're laughing all the way to the bank.
I think that sums up the Trump administration, a bunch of rats. Okay, let's finish off our broadcast with on a positive note. Here is a great Biden-Harris ad just dropped about this weekend, and it is narrated by one of our favorite actors, Brad Pitt. It's titled "Make Life Better."
Good to see you. How are you?
Good job.
Right. Isaac, good to see you. How are you, man?
Nice to meet you, Mr. Vice President.
God love you. I just wanted to say hi. But I can't preach like you guys can.
America is a place for everyone. Those who chose this country. Those who fought for it. Some Republicans, some Democrats, and most just somewhere in between. All looking for the same thing. Someone who understands their hopes, their dreams, their pain. To listen, to bring people together, to get up every day and work to make life better for families like yours. To look you in the eye, treat you with respect, and tell you the truth. To work just as hard for the people who voted for him as those who didn't. To be a president for all Americans.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
That's a great ad. And that's what's going to happen, I believe, in the last 8 days here. It's going to continue, the Biden and Harris campaign continue to pounce on how Trump has just totally mishandled and a dereliction duty, how they have screwed up the whole response to the coronavirus pandemic. They really have. They've caused an immense number of deaths that shouldn't have happened, like that Columbia University study that came out about 3 days ago that basically said we could have saved like 160,000 lives if this administration actually did their job, which they have not. So you're going to pounce on that, pounce on the fact that they're trying to get rid of healthcare, you know, obviously with the court case in front of the Supreme Court a week after the election, and how the economy is ruined because they did not handle the coronavirus. It's all related, right? and how he has not done anything. He has inflamed racial tensions in terms of what's happened with George Floyd and Black Lives Matters. He has done nothing to help us come together. All he's done is support white supremacists. He supports the Proud Boys. He's done everything to divide us. Everyone's tired of Trump. He's going to go down. That's my prediction. Anyway, have a great Monday, everyone, and have a great week. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.